Alrighty, team. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being on time. Welcome to today's webinar, Getting Paid Faster. I'm going to be sharing a couple of tips and tricks for your Carepatron billing, making sure that you know all of what that we have available at the moment when it comes to billing, and the things that you can do in the Carepatron workspace around that at the moment, and as well as let you guys know a bit of what's coming up soon. Alrighty. So first and foremost, with me here, I am your host, Marco. I'm going to be going over the information with you guys. I have Louis here. He's going to be my chat support, guys. If you guys have any questions throughout the meeting, feel free to share those questions through the Q&A section of this call. You will notice you'll have that option available by coming down to these options on the bottom right corner of the call and clicking on the icon that says activities. That's the one that has the three shapes on it. Click on that one and you'll be able to see the Q&A option right here. Okay, so any questions, ask them throughout the meeting. Louis will do his best to get to them. If we don't have a chance to answer those questions throughout the meeting, we'll have a Q&A at the end, so we'll make sure to answer those questions for you and get you the information that you need. Okay, but yeah, we want to make sure that you guys can ask those questions, or at least write them down so you don't forget about them. We want to make sure we answer those questions for you. But like I said, if Louis doesn't have a chance to answer those, we'll answer them together at the end. Now, today we're going to be going over the things that are already available when it comes to billing within the Carepatron workspace. I do want to let you guys know we will not be covering insurance billing during today's webinar, because we are going to be offering a webinar in and of itself for that single subject for insurance once it's released through Carepatron. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna be making sure that you guys are able to register for that webinar if you're interested in knowing more about how insurance billing is going to work once it's released through Carepatron. But today we're just going to be going over the things that are already available. No particular order, guys, but I'm going to make sure that you guys know how to create invoices, how to create super bills, how credit adjustments work, how you can invoice different amounts depending on situations that happen in day-to-day life, as well as issue refunds when needed. Okay, so like I said, guys, grab something to drink if you guys want to have, some water, some soda, or a bite to eat. I know it's probably some of you guys' lunchtime, so feel free to eat something while we go over this. And if you have any questions, we'll be right there for you. But without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the Carepatron workspace, guys. Again, if you could help me out by letting me know if you can see my screen by sending a thumbs up or some clapping hands or a heart or something. Okay, got it. Thank you guys so much for letting me know about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the most basic part of billing, which is invoicing. Now, you can invoice through Carepatron from the moment that you sign up. So as soon as you get in here, you'll have a chance to invoice. Now, charging for those invoices or collecting payment for those invoices does require a Stripe account setup. If you don't have a Stripe account, guys, no need to worry. You can create one directly from the settings over here in billing. We have the option to create your Stripe account directly from here. For now, I already have one. So if you guys have a Stripe account already available, you can also link it to your Carepatron workspace and start collecting those payments for the invoices. But today, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and start with how to create an invoice. So first and foremost, guys, I'm going to show you the longest way around creating an invoice, which is creating one from scratch. So I'll go ahead and select invoice right here. Now, when I say creating it from scratch, I mean I don't have anything in here. So I'm going to add a client. Today it's going to be John. And okay, so bill it to John. Perfect. I'm going to add the service. So I'll say I offered that service 2 days ago, and he had the coaching activity service. That price has a price range of $100. Perfect. And do I want a tax for this? Yeah, let's go ahead and say I want to tax 6% and create. Now I've just created the invoice. If I want to share it with the patient and have them pay for it at this moment, what I need to do is click on send payment link right here, and you'll send it via email. They'll receive a way to be able to pay for it securely through our portal and use Stripe, as I mentioned before. Now, before the payment, guys, you can make any changes necessary, any edits necessary to the invoice. Okay, so if you're not sure that you already want to collect the payment for this invoice, you can go ahead and click on the pencil here, which is the edit option, and you can change anything from the information that's up here. Let's say you guys want to change the issue or the due date. You want to change it to let's say the 17th, you can do that. If maybe you realize, hey, you know what, John usually doesn't take care of his billing. It's John's, I don't know, his wife, Sarah, right? So Sarah will take care of the payment, and I need to go ahead and save that. So when we come back to the appointment, we can see it's billed to Sarah. The client is John, but it's going to be billed to Sarah. This is the invoice information and the charges for the service. Let's say you guys don't want to charge the $100. Let's say John has been a client of yours for a while, so you're not going to charge him the full $100. You're going to charge him the friends and family discount. So you're going to change this to 75. You can literally just come in here, change that by inputting the new number and saving that. The system will automatically do the calculation with the tax down here, and you'll be able to, send the corrected invoice. Now, once invoices are paid, guys, this is super important to keep in mind. You can't make any changes to the invoice, just for security reasons, of course, and to make sure that you don't have any issues when it comes to your billing, okay? So just make sure that you double check, triple check the information and invoices before sending those out through your Carepatron workspace, okay? Now let's go ahead and say this is paid. I'll say it was bank transfer. There we go. Payment is successful. Now, this is, like I said before, guys, the longest way around creating an invoice. In your day-to-day, the way that you're going to be creating invoices, or that I recommend you create invoices, as it's the easiest way to go about that, is when you have an appointment already. So let's go ahead and create an event. This is going to be with Bobby, and he's going to have, again, coaching activity service. This is located in, this was a video call. So perfect. Let's go ahead and create that event. So I will send this to Bobby. When we come back to the event itself, we have the possibility to create the invoice directly from here. Let's give it a quick second to load that up, and we'll be able to see that information. Sorry about that, guys. Give me one quick sec. This is what happens when we have live webinars, but thank you so much for your guys' patience. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the information now. There we go. So this is the way that the event will look in your guys' calendar. Most of the events that have appointments that have services attached to them, this is how you're going to be able to see them. Okay, so in this case, since it was a video call or the service is provided through telehealth, I have the option to start the call from here. You can create a session note for the appointment right here, but most importantly for today's webinar, you have the option to create an invoice right here, okay? So this is the easiest way to create the invoice. It'll take all the information that's in the event already and put it in the invoice for you. So you don't have to go through selecting who you're gonna be billing to, who the client is, the dates, all that stuff. It's automatically, put it right here. You have the same capabilities to make changes to the invoice at the time before, sending it over to the client. And you can also add other, activities that haven't been billed to the invoice. One thing that you'll notice Carepatron does is we try to help you guys make sure you stay on top of your billing. So or try to stay on top of any missed or not charged or not, invoiced amounts. So if there's ever any point where you guys provided a service or you had an appointment with a client and you forgot to create the invoice, our system will remind you, hey, we have this outstanding payments or an uninvoiced amount, from this service that you provided on this date. So if you want to go ahead and add it to this invoice, it's the same client. You can go ahead and do that. Okay. For now, let's just go ahead and save this one as it is. And there we go. So Bobby has this invoice. I can now go ahead and send it over to him. Okay. Something really important that I wanted to go over, guys, is the chance that patients have or clients have to add their credit card information for future payments, as well as giving you guys, allowing you to use the saved payment method for future use. Okay, so they can go ahead and do that as well. You'll see the information in their client profile, and you'll be able to see that saved payment option on file. Okay. So if you guys have any questions about invoices, again, make sure you send those through the Q&A section. And if we don't get to them, we'll be more than happy to answer them by the end of today's call. Okay. Alrighty. Now, another thing I wanted to show you guys is that you don't have to conform to this one single format of invoices. You can come over to settings and billing and payments. and then invoices, and you can change the way that the invoice looks. Not only that, you can also add information such as your company logo. You can change the theme color of the invoice itself to reflect your branding. But yeah, let's go ahead and click on edit. Let's give it a quick second. There we go. And we'll be able to see the invoice in a second. Sorry about that, guys. My internet is being a bit slow, but we'll get through it. No problem. So you'll notice we have different options for invoice formats right here. We have 3 of them: simple, contemporary, and modern. Choose the one that fits your practice the best, or you like the most. Like I said before, you can add your logo. You can also change the theme color around the invoice. So instead of it being this kind of lilac color, you can change it to anything that's more tied to your account. Okay. Another thing that you can do, and that I recommend that you do, is you can set up invoice reminders for your clients. They can be either email or SMS reminders. You can add more than one reminder. So I highly recommend creating at least one of each and making sure you cover your bases before and after the appointment or the service has been provided. Okay, so I recommend you set up one that's before the service comes up, where it's just like, hey, make sure you pay your invoice when you receive it. We're looking forward to see you tomorrow. And then it serves as a reminder of the appointment itself. And then you can set up another one for the day after, where it's like, hey, thank you so much for coming in. Just a reminder to please make sure you pay for your invoice as soon as possible, whatever the case may be, guys. But it's basically a way for you guys not to have to worry or not have to chase your clients after you've already invoiced for a service you've already provided. Okay, it's a way for you guys to set these up, forget about them, because you don't need to set them up for each client. You could just set these up and they affect all the clients in your client list. Okay. Alrighty, guys. If you guys have any questions about invoices specifically, feel free to ask those questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you. I do want to go over a situation with you guys, and this has to do with being able to invoice different amounts for people. We know sometimes there's different clients that you guys will charge different prices for. So I'll go ahead and create a situation with you guys. So let's create an event. And in this event, we're going to have John. For this one, Sarah is not his wife. Sarah is a stranger in this event. And then we're going to add John's brother, Dr. Rob. And we're going to say these guys are setting up for, let's do the group coaching appointment, and this is also a video conference call. There we go. And yeah, don't send that over. Let's take a look here. So you'll notice we have Sarah, we have John, and we have Dr. Rob. In this case, since Dr. Rob is John's relationship, he doesn't have the option for you to change to confirmed or any of the other statuses that you have right here. But not only that, guys, he doesn't have the option for you to take a closer look at what you're billing the client themselves. So for Sarah, let's go ahead and take a look. Specifically for Sarah, we noticed we are invoicing, or we haven't invoiced this session right here, which is $100. But what if I don't want to charge Sarah the $100? Maybe I want to charge Sarah a different amount, right? So to do that, let's come back here. Oh, sorry about that, guys. So let's click on Sarah. And then we'll edit this information right here. I'll say, hey, you know what? It's not $100 for Sarah. It's a different amount for her. So there we go. Let's say it's $75 again. Save that. And even though it's the same service that you just added for both of them, Sarah has a $75 charge and John still has the $100 charge. Okay. Now from here, there's another way for you guys to create the invoice for the service. Instead of doing it over here, you could just add the invoice right here. And when you click on that, you'll come back to this view that we were taking a look at before. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Again, that's just my internet being a bit slow today. And you can, go ahead and create the invoice directly from there. Now you have the invoice already here. It's unpaid because, of course, you haven't sent it over to Sarah. But again, you have the option to edit the invoice from here as well before sending it over. Okay. So yeah, you have all the information you need for that invoice. And you'll notice you already have it attached to only Sarah because John hasn't received an invoice, right? You also have this icon here that will let you know you already invoiced Sarah for this service. But yeah, this is the way that you can change, the amounts that you charge for different people. Okay. And again, you can also add the invoice for John, and we'll go ahead and see that invoice here now. There it is. And X out of that, come back to the appointment itself. And now we have both of those invoices attached to each one of the clients. Okay. So that way, when you go into John's profile or Sarah's profile, you'll be able to see that invoice in their billing section. All right. Now, this is pretty standard situation. It could happen, guys, if maybe Sarah, has been with you guys for a bit. Maybe she has a coupon or, whatever the case may be, and the full charge doesn't apply to her. You could just make the edit really quickly directly from the event without having to make a bunch of changes to the service or add another discount service to, the service list. Instead of doing all of that, you could just come in here and make the changes that you need to the information that's found here. Okay, you can also change the units. All righty, guys. So any questions about that? Feel free to ask them through the Q&A. Now, I'll go ahead and create another situation for you guys. And this is a situation that's going to happen for those of you that have billing, charges at the time of booking. So you can set that up through your Carepatron workspace where clients will have to pay for the appointment at the time of booking it online. And in those instances, we've noticed that sometimes clients will make mistakes and they'll choose a service that they were not intended. They didn't want to schedule that one. They scheduled that one by mistake, and they already paid for it. So what happens now, right? So let's go ahead and create another situation together, guys. And for this one, we're going to add John. And we're going to say John is going to have, he was trying to schedule a 60-minute appointment, but he mistakenly scheduled a 45-minute appointment. We'll go ahead and create that and add the payment for him right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the services that he's being billed for, create the invoice. And let's say, like I said, John already paid for it because at the time of booking, he had to input his card information and get charged. So for now, let's go ahead and say it's marked as paid. You'll see it as paid over here in the event. But let's say you come in here and you're like, oh no, John needed a 60-minute appointment, right? Not a 45-minute appointment. So in those cases, you just come up here and you change this. You could just add the 60-minute appointment and remove the 45-minute appointment, save that, and the system will automatically understand, hey, we already charged John for the 45-minute appointment, but there's still a $50 amount there still pending, right? So when you come in here, you'll notice the system will tell you, hey, we still have $50 in the air here. Do you want to add the invoice for that? And then when you create the invoice, it's going to be an invoice that has all the information about what happened. So it'll tell them you first, you scheduled a 45-minute appointment for which you paid $100. We're crediting you those $100 for this 60-minute appointment, but now we do need to charge the remaining $50 because it's a 60-minute appointment, not a 45-minute appointment. Okay, so this invoice will let John, in this case, know, hey, I paid for it. You're right. Okay, so it is being taken into account. I just need to pay the difference. Perfect. Okay, so again, he could just come in here, pay for that difference directly here, or any of the other options that you have for payment. Okay. Now, what happens if it's the other way around? Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll delete this event. And let's say John, instead of scheduling the 60-minute event by mistake, correctly, he schedules it by mistake. And now you need to change it to a 45-minute call because he doesn't need the 60-minute event. Well, in those cases, guys, let's just go ahead and create an entirely new one. John again, and now he created the 60-minute event. And you come in here and you're like, oh no, John, you just needed the 45-minute event. In that instance, again, you can come in here. Oh, and let's just, before we do that, let's mark this service as paid, guys. So here we go. Add the invoice for this service. Let's give it a quick second. Sorry about that, guys, again. There we go. I'm in here, take a look at the services, add the invoice, and then we're going to go ahead and mark it as paid. So again, cash, mark as paid. There we go. You come in here, you notice John created this event. He scheduled this appointment with you for tomorrow, but he unfortunately already paid for the 60-minute call, even though it was a 45-minute event that he needed to schedule, right? Well, again, you come in here, you search for that 45-minute event. There we are. And then we remove the 60-minute event and we save that. Now, keep in mind, he already paid $150 for the 60-minute event, right? And the 45-minute event is only $100. So what happens then? Well, the cool thing about your Carepatron workspace is that you can issue a credit for that difference. So again, let's give it a chance to load up the information. Come on now. Sorry about that, guys. I seem to be having a bit of a connection issue at the moment, but no worries. We'll get through it in a second. Let me refresh this again. And let's try this one more time. Remove 60 minutes. Save that. There we go. So now we've made changes to the appointment itself. So when we come in here, you'll notice, hey, John already paid for the $150 service, but we changed it to the 45-minute service, right? So now we have an invoiced amount of the $50 difference there that he overpaid for. So when we create the invoice for that, you'll notice there's a difference from this invoice to the other invoices that we created. Again, it'll have a breakdown of what happened, saying, hey, you scheduled a 60-minute appointment, you paid $150. We did it to make that change for a 45-minute appointment, which is only $100, and we do have $50 there in the air. So you can issue a credit for them directly through here. You just click issue credit, and that credit will be added to their account as well. So in the future, if John were to schedule another appointment and it's a $100 appointment, he has that $50 credit there. So when you invoice for that other appointment, so let's go ahead and just add another service here. Let's say we want to add another 45-minute appointment here, save that. And then when we come in here and take a look at the appointment itself, the service itself down here, we have this has not been invoiced, this has not been paid. So there we go. And you can add the credit yourself directly from the workspace. Okay. So again, you have all the information right here, guys. So make sure you double check before sending out the invoices. Remember, changes can be made only until the patient or client has paid for that invoice. Okay. So make sure you double check that information, guys. Now, one thing I will go over today regarding not insurance billing, but a way for you guys to be able to still help your patients, especially if they rely on their insurance to be able to get care, is by creating super bills. Okay, so let's go to John's profile over here. Let's go to his billing section. So we'll notice we have all these billables, all the invoices that we've created for the events in the past, and paid and unpaid are right here. We have all his payments right here, and then we have super bills. So this is a draft that I created before. Let's go ahead and create a new super bill together. So in here, you can add the invoices that have already been paid that you want to include in this super bill. We have a list of all of them with their dates, the number, in the sequence for the invoices, the service that was provided, the exact amount that was charged for each one of them, the dates where each one took place. So you can go ahead and select those. They'll be added to the super bill. Now, another thing that's good is that if they already have, a diagnosis code in their notes or, inside the client profile, it'll automatically pull it for them. Today, I don't have one, so I'll just go ahead and add one from the list that we have here, and I'll choose pretty salmonella. So this is going to be, that was a pretty tough time for John. Lots of, coming back to the office for that. So you can just go ahead and create the super bill. There we go. Oh, we need a code. I'll just add 111 and then 222 again and again. So like I said before, guys, the system is here to help you guys make sure you don't miss any of the required pieces of information. There we go. Same goes for here. There we go. So this is the manual way to create the super bill. There we are. Now let's remove this one because that's a negative amount, and let's go ahead and create the super bill. There we are. So now you can send it to your patients so they can reach out to their insurance company and share the statement of reimbursement with them and get reimbursed for the services that you've provided for them. Okay, you just click on send email, and you can change the message that you have here if you want to say something different. And you can also change who you're sending it to. Okay. Now that's the manual way of creating super bills. You also have an automation for creating super bills. You have that option down here where it says auto generate billing documents. You click on edit. You could just toggle this option and it'll automatically send super bill receipts at the end of each month. So what the system will do is it'll understand all the statements or all the invoices, that have already been paid, and it'll compile all of them in a super bill at the end of the month and send it out automatically for the patient. So you don't need to even worry about coming in here and doing what I just did. Okay. So once you set those up, click save, and now super bills are going to be generated at the last day of the month and sent out to the patient on the same date. Okay. Now, like I said before, guys, the patient has a chance to enable you seeing their payment method. So you'll be able to see those right here, or you can add a payment method if you want to. If you have the information already from another system, you just go ahead and add it directly here on their billing page. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Any questions so far? Hit us in that Q&A section. Now you can also add credits directly from here, guys. We've heard a lot of situations where practices will kind of offer a client like, hey, we have a package where if you pay this amount, you have 3 or 4 services available for the month. So you can just go ahead and pay. You need to pay for the package entirely right now, and then we'll go ahead and provide the services when you require them. So in those cases, what you could do is just like, let's say the package is a $300 package and that includes 3 services. You just add the $300 credit, and then from there, since the patient already paid those $300 at the start, you could just pull from that credit that he has available for the invoices for those services once they've been provided. Okay. Now, I do want to show you guys, because you can issue credit, but you can also provide refunds for clients. And the refunds work only for the online payments that you do through Carepatron. If they paid through cash in the office, or if they made a bank transfer, or if they gave you guys a check, or any other payment method, the system will tell you, hey, we can definitely create the information in here about refunding the payment, but we're not going to be able to process anything directly from here. It's just going to be there. It's going to say you refunded this outside of Carepatron. But let's say, for example, this payment that was already made, I want to refund it. So I'll go ahead and refund. I can add a reason for that refund. If there's any adjustment that needs to be made, and click on that. And like I said, if they paid outside of Carepatron, if they didn't pay through Stripe, if they paid through cash or bank transfer or check or any of those other options, you just click on this and the system will know, okay, I don't need to issue anything directly from here. John already, the client already took care. It was already taken care of outside of the system. So I'll go ahead and click on refund. There we go. Since this was paid in cash and the one that I created, there we are. And you'll have the status here of that refund being sent over to them. Okay. So you can double check that information right here and see, hey, did I already refund John this payment he did for a service? Maybe he canceled, and since he need to pay for it at the time of booking, he was charged. But no, we need to refund that, and yeah, we can double check and make sure, yeah, it's been refunded. And you can also view the details of this, where it's like why this payment was made, and it's for this service. You also have the invoice that it was that was attached to it directly here, the date, and all of that you can find right here, as well as the refund information. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So let's see what else we need to cover for today. Well, I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew where to find all the information within here. So we have all the, like I said, the billables over here, meaning anything that you can bill for that hasn't been billed for yet, you can find right here. You can also double check your invoices. You can see them directly from here. You can also choose to send them out. You can also mark them as void. We don't recommend marking them as void or deleting any paid invoices, guys, just for your sake, and not having to come in here and try to find something that you deleted by mistake. Just leave them here. They won't be bothering you right here, guys. Okay. What else do we have here? We have the payments, as we were taking a look at before, and all the super bills that you generated for them, especially if you have this set up and you just want to make sure that they are being sent out. I'd recommend coming in here, coming to the super bills, at least at the end of each month, and double checking to make sure that the super bill was sent. Okay. Especially if you already have a client in mind, guys. So that pretty much sums up what we had for presentation today, but I know there are a lot of questions for us. So I'm going to come back here to the presentation. And first I want to ask Louis if we have any questions still remaining. Lou, I think we do, right?
No, I think we were able to cover almost everything.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Lou. Yeah, if you guys have any questions right now, if you want to go ahead and ask them, feel free to do so. There we go. We have Ronell. All right, there you are. Hey, Ronell, feel free to ask your question. I'll be happy to answer it for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marco, and thanks for the training today. Quick question about the pre-populated information on the invoices. And I think someone else may have asked the same question. Is there a way to just set the template up so that it gives a current date for the due date? Right now, I think it puts it out to about 2 weeks. So if I don't remember to go in and update the invoice, it's telling people they have 2 weeks to pay their counseling fee.
Gotcha. That's
Thanks.
a great question. Yeah. So if you come over to, let me share my screen again because I'm not sharing it anymore. There we go. You can see my screen again, right? Yep. So when you come over here and edit these options, you can change, that information from over here. So if you change the overdue term, you could be 0 days. And that way it's like, as soon as you invoice it, that's the due date for them to pay it. It really doesn't have a date range. Sorry. Go ahead, Louis.
No, go ahead.
Oh, all right. It really doesn't have a date range, but you can set up the amount of days after the invoice is issued for how long they have before it becomes overdue. Okay. So if you set up like 5 days, you're giving them 5 business days, or, set up 7 days. So it's a week after, or you could just do a day after, or like I said, no days, and they'll have to pay that right away.
Thank you. And there's no other way to send that out automatically?
Not at the moment, Ron.
Okay.
We are working on that. We are working on, we just released a couple of updates for billing. That's what we went over today. But the team is always working on, on the product and making sure that we always give you guys more options and upgraded experience every time.
Awesome. Thanks, Marco.
Marco, can you go back?
Thank you, Ronell.
To where you can add or remove the information of the client? No, right there in the.
Okay.
So the other option. Yeah.
Right here?
And show, how to remove the email address or add any other information that you want.
Of course. Great question there. So I'll do this again just from the start, guys, so you know what the flow is when you come in here yourself. So you come over to settings, you come over to billing and payments, and you come over to invoices, and then you click edit, and you'll be brought to this window. And then right away, you'll be able to see the fields that are already added to the invoice itself. When you come over to client, hover over it and click edit. These are all the elements that'll be attached in the client section. So for example, let's say you don't want to have the email, just remove that. The email is no longer going to show up. So let's say you don't want to have the address. Perfect. You save that. And now we only have these 3 pieces of information for them. If you want to add them again, you just come over here and you search for those in our dropdown. Let's add the email again, save that. And now we're going to see John's email. Okay. You can also move these around for where you want it to be. So if you want it to be, at the bottom, just add it down here. Okay. And that way it doesn't show up at the top. But yeah, you can change the information for not just the client, who you're billing it to. The practitioner information can also be changed, as well as the provider. Okay. All righty. I did notice Tammy had her hand up. Tammy, feel free to go ahead and ask your question. I do notice the rest of you guys, but we'll go ahead. Go ahead, Tammy.
Okay, 2 questions on the invoice template and editing it. So the first question is that on the top part where my information is, my address is not populating. Is there someplace that I didn't put it in that I should have that would make that happen?
Well, in this case, yeah, if you maybe forgot to add it to your information, over here in your profile, that's probably why it's not pulling up. But if you do have it in here and it's still not pulling up, reach out to us through the help center, and we'll take care of that individually with you, Tammy, so we can have the team take a look at that and see why that's happening on your end.
Okay, and so my second question is, on the invoice, it shows the service, and then under the service, it says 45 minutes with so-and-so, presumably me. Where is that data being populated from? Where is that being pulled from?
So that's being pulled from the event itself. So in the event in the calendar, you'll have the information of you and the client, and then the service, when you set it up, you'll set the amount of time that it takes for the service, to be completed. So if it's a 45-minute service or an hour long, that's how the system knows that information and add that information to the invoice that you're sending for that service you provided.
So I run into this problem with, a therapeutic hour, right? We have different codes. And so a therapeutic hour that we block off 60 minutes on our schedule is anywhere between 53 minutes and above for that particular service code, that CPT code. And so I'm generally spending a few less than 60 minutes with a client. But if a client sees on there that they're being billed for 60 minutes, then they might be like, well, I didn't get those last 4 minutes.
Gotcha.
Most people understand, but not everyone does. And so that's why I wanted to know if that could be deleted, because if I have it in the description that this is, a standard therapeutic hour, is there a way to not have that pull over?
Gotcha. So yeah, I think you can come over to the practitioner or the provider. And for example, if you don't want to have any of the information, you can just hide that section and that doesn't show up anymore.
No,
and
it's there. It's right there.
Down here,
Under
right?
service. No, under service, February 27th.
Oh,
service,
gotcha. Right here.
minutes.
Sorry about that.
That's the thing
sorry,
that's giving me a headache.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, at the moment, we can't change that because it's kind of the description of what happened and why you're being billed this information. But that is great feedback, Tammy. I'll definitely share it with the team to make sure that you guys have the possibility to change the descriptions of these charges to be a bit more customizable for you, because that's a great, that's a great example of why you would need to change the information. Like you said, a lot of people will understand this is like, it's just the standard 45-minute service, even though it was a 50-minute service, or in this case, an hour-long service, right? Even though you guys only took 55 minutes to get through the entire service. But yeah, I'll definitely take this as feedback for the team. Like I said, we're always working on this, and we want to make sure that you guys have, as much control over the information that you send out as possible. So thank you very much for sharing that. I am writing it down right now.
Thanks, Marco. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time today.
No, it's my pleasure, Tammy. Thank you so much for your questions. And guys, not just for you, Tammy, but for everyone here, I do want to mention you have the help center available to you guys right up here. So feel free to reach out through here if you ever have any questions in your day-to-day. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. You have Louie right there. I'm right there as well. You're going to first talk to our AI. She is there to help you guys out with any quick questions that you might have. But yeah, we also are right there. If you want to talk to somebody, just write down, talk to someone, and either myself or Louie or somebody else from the team is going to come out and help you guys out with it, whatever it is that you need. Okay. Alrighty, I do see a couple more hands up. Let's go ahead with Al. I'll go ahead and share your question. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Hey, Marco. Yes, my question is about, is this new billing and payments model, is it good to use for group therapy? So so a couple of questions there. Why I'm asking is that you mentioned that, in that appointment window where you add people, some of them can see each other information, some not. So I want to see how to make it confidential for everybody if I'll be adding people.
Perfect.
Yeah, are they going to be seeing each other or no? How do I make sure, like, enter 10 people from my group and build them, and I can have the ability to see who's paid and what?
Perfect. So yeah, first and foremost, nobody else is going to be able to see the rest of the people's information. So even if it's a 10-person group session, when they see the event in their calendar and whenever they get a reminder of joining the call on the day, it's only going to show up as if they were the only ones joining the meeting. So when I say some people can see the information, so I'll come back to the example that we went through today together. In this case, this person, Dr. Rob Smith, is related to John. I have him as one of John's relationships. And in that situation, Dr. Rob has access to John's info through the patient portal, right? So Dr. Rob would have a chance to see the information that John, that has to do with John in his patient portal, but he doesn't have a chance to see anything that has to do with Sarah in this case. So since your Carepatron workspace is 100% HIPAA compliant, you have eyes on everyone that's going to be joining, and you even have, eyes on how many people, this group event is, already scheduled for this group event. I have a limit of 5 right here. But when it comes to outside communication or how they can see the information, they don't have access to anybody else's information. Did that answer your question now? Oh, I think you muted yourself, Al. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. So 1 of 5. I'm sorry. Like, is that the limit? 5 people?
Oh no, that's just the limit that I put for this example of the group
got
event.
it.
You can set up to like 10, 15, however many people you need to be able to add to that group. But yeah, no matter the number of people that you add, like I said, the privacy still applies. So they won't be able to see the information. Yeah, of course. Alrighty, we have Hannah. Go ahead, Hannah. How can I help you today?
Yes, hi. I'm following up on the question that was in the Q&A about if we can create apps, a package, sorry. For example, we have a plan for 10 sessions with a client or something like that. I think I saw an answer about putting a credit on the client's account. And I just was wondering if we could demonstrate that quickly, how that would work.
Of course. So just really quickly, we don't have the option for you guys to like set up a package of services to provide. So a workaround that which is what I was mentioning about the credit, is if you guys do offer that, there's a way for you guys to be able to like create a credit that kind of represents the price or the payment of that package of services, and then you just pull from there when you are generating the invoices. So for example, since John has credit right here, let's say I go to this invoice that he has right here that he hasn't paid for, and then I want to say, you know what, I want to consider the credit that he has right here. Okay, so if he has $500 in credit in his profile, and he needs to pay for this $100 service, when I click on save, the amount is 0 already. So you could just generate this invoice to let him know, hey, we already had this session. I'm taking $100 from the credit that you already paid us for this group of, or package. And so the amount due is $0. But yeah, we already took $100 from that credit that you have for this package. Okay.
So you would create a credit when the client pays, say, 2,000.
Yeah.
We create a credit note basically on the client's account, and then we draw from this credit note every time they book an appointment.
Exactly. So you come over to John's profile, billing, and then you're like, he just paid us, the $2,000 package for services. You come over to the credit adjustment, and you say, hey, you know what? $2,000, create that. And then he has those $2,000 to pull from. Now, since we were using John a bit for the other examples, we have a bit of extra credit here. But yeah, if you create just this credit for that service, you'll have the $2,000, and you'll start pulling from there when you invoice for services as you provide them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My pleasure. And yeah, Hannah, just so you know, you're not the first one that tells us about, packages and all that stuff. So the team is working on creating that possibility for you guys when creating services. So you guys have a chance, create packages for clients to choose from when they're booking online or when they're trying to book with you guys. Okay. But they'll be coming soon. We'll be happy to let you know when those are ready to go. And last but not least, Ronell, feel free to ask your question Go ahead.
Very fast. Thank you, Marco. Tammy asked two questions, one regarding changing the email template, like the wording in the email template. I
Mhm.
also had that question. And then the other was just about her earlier question regarding updating the duration of your services. Can that be done in settings, like service details under settings?
Yeah, definitely. So first and foremost, you can definitely change the wording in the message. However, you can you need to change it every time at the moment. It's part of the customization, updates that the team is working on, making sure that you guys have more customizable, outreach through the Carepatron workspace. So you can change it directly when you're sending the invoice. So I'll go ahead and come over to the invoices and open up this one that has been paid. And then in here, I could just change the message itself. I'll say, hi, John, but I'll write down,
So I actually know that I can edit the message. I think we were wondering if there's a way to set it up like where you don't have to do that every time you send an email,
Yeah, not at the
So right
moment,
now,
Ron.
no. Okay.
Yeah, not at the moment, but it will be
Okay.
coming soon. Yeah.
No problem.
And the other question, sorry, was regarding changing the actual duration of services after they've been created. You can definitely do that. You can come over to settings and scheduling, come over to services, and you'll have all the services that you have available for patients right here. You just click on this edit option, and we will have the possibility for you to change that duration. So if you want it to be longer than 45 minutes, you just change that to 60. And in this case, I'll change the name as well, just to avoid any confusions, and save that. And there it is.
Right.
Just to add on, I'm sorry, Marco, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just to add on to that, what Renell was asking, the problem for me, I wanted to change that to 0 so that it wouldn't show up at all. But then what happens is when it shows up on the calendar, it's this teeny tiny, and it doesn't block up on the calendar appropriately. So since this is feeding two different things, it's feeding how it appears on the calendar and it's feeding into the invoice. That's where we run into the trouble, because I need it to show the full hours blocked off, but I also don't need it to show on the invoice. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Tammy, please reach out to us directly. We'll keep working on this together. You can reach out to me if you want to. My email is marco@carepatron.com. We'll continue that conversation and make sure that, like I said, it's a great point. It really is, because we're feeding in different places with the information, but specifically for the invoices, and in your case that you were presenting, Tammy, having that possibility to change that information because you didn't offer the 60 minutes, you only did 53 or 55. Yeah, and you don't. Last thing we want is people reaching out and being like, no, Tammy, you didn't give me the 60 minutes. It was just 53. And yeah, definitely. But please reach out and we'll take care of that together. Okay. Alrighty, Renell, again, thank you so much for your questions, guys. I think that's pretty much it. My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. As I mentioned before, you have the Help Center right there if you have more questions. If you have a question that pops into your head a minute after today's webinar is done, use that Help Center. You'll find me there. You'll find Louie. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Again, tomorrow, we're going to receive an email with this recording as well as a survey. Please let us know how you guys felt about this webinar. Like I said, we will be having a webinar specifically for insurance billing once it's been launched. That's coming very, very soon. It should be coming sometime next week or the week after that. We're just finalizing the last couple of things, and especially for our US, clients, we know this is huge. So be on the lookout for our communication about that. We will send out the registration for the webinar as soon as that is launched. Okay. That's it for us today, guys. Thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to any questions that you guys might have for us regarding this or anything else in that Help Center, okay?